General Senona and Colonel Jacobs have finally been nailed. A deleted video from Madlanga has just exposed the true mastermind behind the 541 kilograms of cocaine looted at Port Shepstone. Dear viewers, the level of corruption happening within the SAPS is deeply alarming. Grab your cup of coffee, sit back and relax, because you are about to watch the biggest confession coming out of the Madlanga Commission. If you hate corruption as much as I do, please hit that like button, share this video with everyone, and let's expose these criminal drug lords in police uniforms. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell. Type Jail Senona and Jacobs now in the comments below. Let's fight this corruption together. Sifo, roll the clip.
An arrangement was made for vehicles to transport exhibit to Port Shepstone. There was an escorting team comprising of Warrant Officer Mdlalose and Warrant Officer Mkwanazi. I cannot recall who else was there as part of the escorting team. We arrived in the afternoon at Port Shepstone, late in the afternoon at Port Shepstone offices, and we were received by Port Shepstone official who showed us their walk-in safe where exhibits were stored. I do not know the name of the DPCI official that gave us the keys to the safe. I'm not certain whether General Senona and Brigadier Nusa came in before our arrival or arrived while we were busy storing the exhibits in the storeroom. I can recall that both came inside the storeroom while we were busy storing the exhibits. General Senona was checking if the storeroom was suitable to store exhibits. After storing the exhibits in the safe was locked and General Senona instructed that the keys be left with him. The safe keys were handed over to him accordingly. We all left and went back to Durban. Nobody complained about anything.
There has been an entry in an SAP 13 register. Now, when you talk about booking them out, what does that mean?
Ngabe mnumzane uyazi yini wachaza ukuthi angathi ziyafakwa lezi ziyabhaliswa lapha xa seziphuma isidingo sokuthi zibhalwe futhi ngabe uyazi ukuthi siyini sibaluleke kanjani ukuthi kufuneka ukubhala ku-entry la ukuthi ziphumile ngenile yena phumile ngabe uyawazi lo.
Let's use the English words here, because you do know English. When you say booking out exhibits, what does that mean? Please use that English expression, Mr. Nkabinde.
Kuthiwa ke mnewethu asishaye ngaso lesaka queen isilungu. Booking out. Uyasazi isingisi dot sesukuzwile uyasazi njengoba sitolika kusho ukuthini?
Ukwakhipha
To take them out.
And am I correct to understand that to mean that you even make an entry in the register itself that you have now taken them out?
Ukuthi futhi hayi ukuthi fambile emoyeni ukuyikhipha la uyabhala ukuthi zikhishiwe. Uyazi ukuthi uyabhala i-entry?
Yebo kunjalo.
Isizathu salokho uyasazi?
Yebo ngiyasazi.
Yes, I do know.
Yeah. Now, when you, assuming that you book them out and bring them back, you would have to re-enter them in the register or not?
Okunye futhi uyazi nawe uzikhiphile. Wazibuyisa. Naso uzibuyisa kufanele ukuphinde futhi ubhale ukuthi ziyangena futhi.
Yebo kunjalo.
Yes.
Okay, now with that clarity, because you know these things better than I can ever hope to, with that clarity, now I do not understand your response to my colleague, Commissioner Baloyi. Because in responding to Commissioner Baloyi, you say that you did not see a need for the entire period before they were eventually entered in a register in Port Shepstone, you did not see a need to enter them in a register during the intervening period. And the reason you give for that is that that's because they had already been entered in the SAP or SAP 13 register.
Uyabona ke lento eyindida lesikhulumayo ekhulunywe wena kakhulukazi. Uthi wena ubone kungasekho isidingo sokuthi ubuye ubhale ngoba uzazi ibhalisiwe ku SAP esithini yasesiphinga. Kodwa uqeda ukusho ukuthi uyazi ukuthi kufanele kunesidingo kuyini okubalulekile na ukuthi isibhaliso siyaphuma ziyangena.
So what I do not understand is that once you've booked them out, they are as good as never having been entered in the Isipingo register. It's on that basis that I do not understand your response to my colleague's question.
Uyabona ndoda, na kube lezi ziyangena ziyabhaliswa. Zisaphakathi. Sihambelana nokubhaliswa kwazo ukuphaka kungena. Kodwa mase ziphuma cishiyani lo ngena. Sekusela ukuthi siphumile. Kodwa kubhalwa ngendawo. Kuyaphela indaba ukuthi zingenile ngoba seziphumile.
Can you please make me understand?
Ukwenza uncede ukuthi kuqondakale kahle.
Or, all right, yeah, let me leave it there. Can you please make me understand?
Cacisa mnewethu.
Bese ngivumile Commissioner ukuthi kwenzeke iphutha.
Ah,
I have already considered that it was a mistake.
That's something else. That is something else. Yes, it may be related to the questions I'm asking you, but it's something else. I want to understand why, in the face of the concept booking out and its implications or effect, you responded that there was no need. So my question revolves around this concept and why you could ever say that there was no need. So I understand you saying a mistake happened. If you are explaining why you did not enter them, what I want to understand is you said there was no need. That's something that is different from explaining why you did not enter them. Do you see what I mean? And the only explanation you gave for not entering them is that they had already been entered. That is what I want to understand.
Uzwile ke ndoda ukuthi ngempela imibuzo yomkhulu iwona lo. Uyakhumbula uthe wena hayi ngibone ngathi asisekho isidingo sokuthi ngibhalise ngoba sekubhalisiwe. Kodwa umbuzo ulokhumile. Ufuna ukwazi ukuthi ngabe isizathu kahle yini. Hayi sokuthi nje ubuthi wena wabona singeke isizathu singenzeka ukuthi mhlambe sikhona sokubonisa ukuthi mhlamba uzange ukwenze lokho ngendlela thizeni. Yokuthi awubonanga isidingo kanti uyazi ukuthi kufanele kwenziwe lokho.
Ngike ngasho ukuthi Commissioner into engangicabanga mina hayi ngoba ukuthi into kwakufanele yenzeke.
Commissioner has already stated this is what I personally thought of, but not necessarily that is what should have happened.
Ngakho ke ngiya-withdraw ukusebenzisa ukuthi ngisebenzise leli gama la ukuthi angizange ngisibone isidingo.
May I ask to withdraw that part of my version that I thought there was no need.
So it was incorrect.
Yeah. Yes.
Thank you. Yes, Mrs. Cocain.
Just on, if you
And, oh, sorry,
Kuma forensic exhibit. exhibit bags.
wafuneni wathathe niwa.
Siwafake kuma-forensic exhibit bags.
If I recall that Jacob said we need to go back there to take the exhibit and put them into the bags. Which bags?
Forensic
Forensic
exhibit
bags. That is the reason why we went back on the 23rd.
Kodwa mase ngibhekisisa kahle manje ngazi ukuthi uqinisile
Ubani uqinisile?
uCommissioner Khumalo.
Yeah, but when I really look deep into this, I think, Commissioner, you are correct.
Because if you had put anything in the SAP 13 on the 22nd, your diary would have said so. You would have recorded it in your diary.
Kuyiqiniso futhi ukuthi uma kube ngempela wawubhala lapha ngomhla ka-22 ngabe idayari yakho uthi nayi bonani siyibone le nto kunjalo.
Iqiniso.
That is correct.
You were responsible for the inquiry file at that point when you moved from Isipingo police station to Port Shepstone. Why did you not arrange for an SAP 13 clerk from Port Shepstone on the 22nd itself to come and enter these exhibits or record the movement of these exhibits? Because after you remove them on the 22nd from Isipingo, as Commissioner Khumalo says, we have no record of where are they after they've been removed. Nothing is recorded. Where do they sleep that night? You are the in charge because Colonel Jacob has left you in charge. So you have the responsibility to arrange that there should be an SAP 13 clerk who comes and you do these entries. Why did you not do that?
Uyabona ndoda amafayili ngo-23 yonke lento iphezu kwamahlombe akho. Wazi kahle nokuthi kuzowenzakalani. Umbuzo okhona omunye ukuthi kungani ungazange wenza amalungiselelo u-arrange no-clerk lapha phambilini ukuthi hey kuzodingeka lokhu siwazi ukubhala wonke abalungiselelo ukuthi kuze kufike lapha. Kumbuzo lokuthi ngempela kuze kanjani ungakulungisi lokho.
Ngathatha ngokuthi since siwafakile kwi-Espingo i-SAP 13 yase-Espingo asisekho isidingo sokuthi siwafake kwi-SAP 13 yase-Port Shepstone.
Well, I presume that because of the fact that we have already stored them in Port Shepstone, there was no necessity that we register them on SAPS 13 in Sipingo.
Port Shepstone.
Port Shepstone, by the way.
I mean, at that time, you didn't know that the protocol or the national instruction requires that exhibits must be recorded in an SAP 13. They must always be accounted for. Is that what you're telling us, that you didn't know that there was such a requirement at that point?
Ufuna ukusitshela ukuthi wena ukwazi kwakho ulokhu khona lapha. Kuvumelekile ukhohliwe. Bongazi ukuthi into enjengalezi ukuthi zihambe indinde nje kungazwakali kahle kufuneka kwazi kahle ukuthi kwenzakalani kubhali ngokomthetho ngohlo lomthetho elibhaliwe ukuthi kufuneka kulandelwe lo mugomo. Ufuna ukuthi wakhohlwa noma bongazi?
Angikhohlwanga, ngathatha ngokuthi ama-exhibits siwafakile kwisiphingo SAP 13 register aseyahamba ayogcinwa ePort Shepstone.
No, I did not forget. The reason is just that we had already recorded them in SAP 13 in Sipingo.
Yes.
And then at that time, they were being transported to Port Shepstone.
That can't be your answer. They are not in an SAP 13 once you book them out and you drive out of Isipingo police station. And you do understand what the problem is that I'm raising with you. You took them out. You signed them out. You said they are going for analysis. You don't even say where for analysis. We know that was not true. They were going somewhere else for storage. You don't enter them anywhere. There's no record. So you can't refer to Isipingo SAP 13. It's irrelevant. You're done. You finished with it. As soon as you signed them out and you drove out with them. After that, they are not accounted for. And there is a national instruction that says they have to be accounted for. And you either know the national instruction that requires that, or you say to us, I didn't know that I'm required to put them in SAP 13. That's why I thought, because we have now put them in a vault in Port Shepstone DPCI, it's okay. Because I didn't know or understand the national instruction. That's the only answer that would make sense, but it would be problematic, but it would make sense.
Uyabona uma kube mhlawumbe uzothi hey bengingazi ukuthi kufanele kwenziwe njani mhlawumbe cishe ngathi iyamukeleka leyo nto kodwa noma inganangqondo hayi ngathi uyasishasha manje kodwa sicabanga ukuthi na uyibheka lento mfowethu lapha kwe-SAP 13 yazi lesiphinga nase siphuma lezi zinto akusahambelani lepha bezingena SAP 13 yasesiphingo ngokomthetho kufanele kube kwazekale ukuthi njengoba seziphuma ziyaphi kwenzakalani kanjani akukho ngathi impela ayikhona akusho kahle
ngiyaphinda ngiyasho futhi ukuthi ngiyamuzwa uCommissioner baloyi ukuthi uqhamuka kuphi nalokho akushoyo, but mina ngiyasho ukuthi ngokwami ngayitshela ukuthi asikho isidingo sokuthi ngiyifake kwi-SAP 13 yase-Port Shepstone ngoba sasesiwafakile lesiphingo kwi-13 yasesiphingo.
I see from which angle, Commissioner, you're coming from, but I thought from my own thinking that there were no longer a need for us to put them again, to register them, because we had already done so in Sipingo, SAPS 13.
Ngokwami futhi cabanga kwami
That was my own perception, thinking.
Ukwenza kwethu ngaleyo ndlela kwakuzokhavwa i-statement esasizoyibhala sichaza ukuthi ama-exhibit asukile esiphingo aya ePort Shepstone.
Well,
Cabanga kwami
on my own, I thought that way was going to be fixed on the state.
everything was perfect and in order, and everybody was happy with the seizure. On the following day, I received an instruction from Lieutenant Colonel Jacob that I must go back to Port Shepstone to unpack the exhibit and seal them in the forensic science lab bags. I then requested Captain Danzi, now the deceased, Captain Freeze, but I do not recall who else was there to assist. We proceeded to Port Shepstone and unpacked and sealed the exhibits in the FSL bags. They were then entered in the Port Shepstone SAP 13 register, which was brought to DPCI offices by the Port Shepstone clerk. After we had finished, I locked the safe and I personally took back the key to General Senona and booked it back on the register since I had booked it out in the morning. Again, I received the call on the next day from Lieutenant Colonel Jacob that I must go back to DPCI offices and take samples from each bag. I again requested Captain Freeze and Captain Danzi, and I do not recall who else came with me. We went into the safe. I randomly picked up 5 bags and took out samples from each brick, which I randomly selected. I placed the samples inside the FSL exhibit bags and sealed them. The bags were marked with Durban Central OCI Inquiry 28/06/2021 and Port Shepstone SAP 13/883/2021, which I later handed over to Warrant Officer Sibia for safekeeping until Lieutenant Jacob comes back from leave. I wish to state on record that Ntuthuko Khuzwayo introduced himself as the custom official. This could have been clarified had a statement been taken from him shortly after, which would have confirmed his occupation. I had no reason to mislead anyone or falsify information. Similarly, I had no reason to state that Sergeant Mkhize and Sergeant Govender and other police officials were there observing the search if they were not there. I also want to state that I concur with Lieutenant Colonel Jacob that I am an experienced drug investigator. I have been doing drug investigation for more than 10 years, doing buy and bust covert operations in KZN. But I have never attended a drug interception of this magnitude from start to finish, either at the harbor or container depot. The only reason I took part in this covert operation is because I was requested to assist, and I personally wanted to learn from Lieutenant Colonel Jacob as to how to manage these type of operations and the whole process from start to finish. I also want to state that I was shocked and surprised when I heard that drugs were stolen from Port Shepstone DPCI storage. I was surprised because I was under the impression that drugs were long transported to Forensic Science Laboratory, Pretoria, as I had overheard in the passage in the office that they were going to be taken there for storage. I wish to state that I do not know who broke into the Port Shepstone storage, and I was not aware that there were no proper security measures in place. That is all that I wish to state.
May I just ask this very quickly, Mrs. Kakane? I do hear you, warrant officer, saying that you are experienced, you are an experienced drug investigator, and that you've been doing investigations for more than 10 years, that is drug investigation.